to share with you what we've been doing in our homeschool. I've been a homeschooling mom since my oldest, who is now 9, was born. And before that, I was a kindergarten teacher. I have my master's in education from the University of Michigan, and I love teaching, I love learning, I love curriculum. So I really dug in deep, and I've changed what I've done through the years. So what I've done, or what I did do for my son initially, is something different than I'm doing for my daughter, who's 7. So my son is now 3rd grade. He's an older 3rd grader. And then my daughter's 1st grade, and then I have a 3.5-year-old who's doing some preschool curriculum. So I'm hoping to share with you all what we've been doing. And what I have found is that the Charlotte Mason method really coincides with my personal educational beliefs systems. So there's a lot about the Charlotte Mason philosophy out there. I don't feel that I am an expert at all, so I'm not going to share with you everything about Charlotte Mason. My goal more is to share that I researched all of the Charlotte Mason curriculums that are out there, and what I found is A Gentle Feast really coincided with everything that I could have imagined wanting to create myself. What Julie Ross, who's the creator and founder of A Gentle Feast, has created is truly amazing, and I love that it's so adaptable, because you'll see as I begin to share is that I have added some things, maybe taken away some things, but overall the system of what she's created is just beautiful. So the family comes together for the same history period, which for me, I was a history major, so that to me is number one, that all the family is focusing on the same history period together. And that is American history, because you start with whatever the child's country of origin is. So for us, that's going to be American history. And she has 4 cycles that go through from the Pilgrims, and then up to the Revolutionary War, and then the 1800s, and then the 1900s. So right now we're doing the 1800s, which is her 3rd cycle. And I'll maybe share a little bit of why we're there, but next year we'll be going into the 1900s and then roll back into like 1600s essentially. I just love that even though I have a 3rd grader and a 1st grader, they're still learning the same things. We do a lot of the learning together. Right here, I'm at my kitchen table right now, and we do most of our morning time, all of our readings together at the table, or I'll bring some of our books onto the couch and we'll all read together there. So Charlotte Mason really believed that a child should become familiar with their own country before moving on to other countries, and then when they're ready in about 4th grade, which Charlotte Mason called Form 2, they would move on to a neighboring country. So for us, that would be Great Britain, because they were, that's our history too, because the history of Great Britain and why immigration happened and why the Pilgrims came over is our history too. So for us, we've done something a little bit different. I started a co-op program before, and I've kind of nixed that, but then come back and forth. So you'll see I don't totally abide by everything Charlotte Mason, but that's okay. There are some Charlotte Mason purists out there who say you have to only do her philosophy from her 6 volumes. I'm not personally one of those, but I think most of her tenets are so important. So from the history, you're going to be reading living books. All your literature that you're reading, that can be fairy tales, that can be anything, doesn't have to be related to history, should all be living texts and just beautiful texts, beautiful stories. I think it really relates to some of my personal work that I do as well with my business. And then from those readings, for be it history, be it literature, or if you're going into nature lore, where you're reading stories about nature versus just dry facts about nature, you're going to be narrating. So that is a huge part of a Charlotte Mason education, is that whatever you're reading, history, literature, nature lore, Bible time, your child is going to be narrating back to you. And all that really means is you read a short passage, and it doesn't have to be several pages. It really should actually start with just a paragraph or 2. You read it and then just ask the child, okay, what did we just read? Tell me about it. Tell me what you just heard. And that narration can look a lot of different ways. But for us, I just say that and the kids are ready. But let me tell you, 2 years ago when my son was in 1st grade and I tried this because he was 7, Charlotte Mason style learning, you don't necessarily start formal training until age 6. But he was 7 and he did not want to narrate. He would fuss. And through my blog, I've shared some of his needs it's part of why I homeschool, a lot of it. I love being home with them, but he has specific needs and he just was not gonna do it. But now his narrations would blow you away. I always let him have a fidget toy, which is like a transformer, or he's making Legos, but he is listening. And when I ask him, okay, tell me back what we just read, he knows it all and he says it in such a beautiful way. So for Charlotte Mason style learning, that is creating composition. Your child is verbally composing something in their brain, and that is going to lend its hand into written composition later when they reach the fourth grade, fourth, fifth, sixth grade, when they're actually going to be starting to write it down. So I love that about a Charlotte Mason education, the narration aspect. I also just touched on the living books aspect. Another thing is there's a lot of little mini subjects. For example, we're going to be looking at great, beautiful pieces of art. We're going to learn about poets through history. We're going to listen to composers. We're going to be singing folk songs, learning about solfa, which I love. I was a singer. I am a singer. Studied voice in school as well. So singing full solfa. I've brought in some tin whistle that we do just once a week, just familiarity with instruments. So all of those little subjects create the feast with your child. The reading the poetry, the engaging with beautiful works of art, beautiful compositions from Mozart and Bach and all of the greats. So what Julie Ross has done in A Gentle Feast is she's put it all together. So I wanted to kind of just share what we have done and why I love A Gentle Feast, and then I'm going to go into, in a couple other videos, some of the supplements that we've added, as well as math, which math is not included. Another thing I should mention is foreign language is also included in her program, which is really helpful because I'm not a Spanish speaker, but we've chose Spanish as our foreign language, and it's just really helpful. We just 5-10 minutes every other day, we go through vocab, we go through conversational Spanish, which is really key, and I can share some of those resources as well. So this video is just gonna show you what our morning time looks like and going through our day. This is our corner of the kitchen where our table is right next to it, and I just pick up any book that I need for the morning. So for example, for morning meeting, I open this up and I always get out our current Bible. We go through different Bibles at a time, but I do a Bible story and the Westminster Shorter Catechism. I always have that, and I have my schedule in front of me. I'm gonna be updating this, but every day I do something slightly different. Every other day it's either going to be nature folklore. For us, it's Among the Forest People. This a beautiful volume by Clara Pearson. She has Among the Farmyard People, Among the Meadow People, and these are really sweet stories about animals and their people. So they talk, and it's really sweet, and you learn a lot about animals. Next, I have my Spanish. So I do every other, I either do nature or Spanish. And so I have the Speaking Spanish with Miss Mason. I have the Play and Learn Spanish, which I really highly recommend. This has audio along with it, songs you can sing, and then just everyday things like going to bed. This is really nice folk songs. I have this on CD. You can also find it on Spotify, but this is great songs for your children just to sing. And then of course the Osborne First 100 Words in Spanish. This is the vocabulary we're learning. So you can learn everyday things in the kitchen and dressing. So those are our Spanish books. Then through the day, we have Bible memorization and things. So what I've done from A Gentle Feast, she has these really beautiful, you can color them if you want, but I put them in menu folders and these beautiful handouts. So every 12 weeks, you're gonna get new ones. So this is our recitation passage for Bible, our poetry. Since we're in Form 1, we only have our poems for Form 1, which are easier poems. The Eagle, Alfred Lord Tennyson, Christina Rossetti is, of course, a favorite. So we have poem, and then we also have hymns. And then a second hymn. So we sing a hymn every day, but it is in our schedule for when we should sing the hymn. So speaking of scheduled, okay, so you can make these for the kids, or you can use Julie's morning time plans. Okay, this is her beautiful colored book, Morning Time Plans. Let me show you the cover of it. It is so pretty. So like I said, I'm in the third cycle, Reforms, Revolutions, and Reconstruction, which is about the 1800s time. And so she's gonna have a schedule at the front, and then it's gonna share with you recitation poems, hymns, and beautiful art by one artist. So you're going to study the same artist for those 6 or 12 weeks. She talks about morning time, what it is, beauty subjects, the Bible memory passage, and then the plans per form. So you can see here, Form 1 poetry is going to be different from Form 2, which is 4th through 6th grade, Form 3, which is 7th through 9th, and then Form 4, which is 10th through 12th grade. And the same things with fables and tales. We're reading stories for little Americans in Form 1, which is 1st through 3rd grade, and then Narrative Life of Frederick Douglass for Form 4. So you're going to be getting quality literature for families. This is the Stories of Great Americans for Little Americans, which is from Memoria Press. It's an oldie but a goodie, republished. I love a lot of things from Memoria Press. They're a classical homeschooling, and I take some of their resources for sure. I'm going to probably use their Latin later on, just a side note. But anyways, that's her morning time. So she also has this beautiful, okay, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but that's okay, that it's not completely organized. So the teacher's manual, here's the teacher's manual. And at the beginning of the teacher's manual, okay, this reads like a book. Okay, it talks about morning time, which we just talked about, because she labels the appetizer as morning time, soup and salad as language arts. So I'm going to show you what the language arts looks like. She has language arts packs for Form 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then the main course academic block, which is going to be your history, book of centuries, geography, natural history, which is what I just showed you in our nature lore, science, singing, citizenship. Dessert could be tea time in the afternoon, where you're doing handicrafts, poetry, read-alouds, drawings, and nature study. So we always try to do one nature study entry a week. Okay, but back to morning time, because this is kind of, so I come here in the morning. So back to just looking at the schedule for morning times, you can just see here how simple she makes it. You're going to look at your Bible reading, days 1 through 4, which we do 4 days because one of our days we are out with friends, Bible memory, and then optional for older kiddos, hymns, poetry, older poetry, picture study. So you're going to be doing something in different days, but it's all labeled out here for you so you know what you're doing. It's so wonderful, and like I showed you, these each child has. I have one too, labeled, and the 3-year-old has one too, which she loves. She has this memorized. This is like a Charlotte Mason motto, which we read often, and it's just so wonderful. We go through this every morning, and then our morning time is over. It ends with singing of our folk song, our solfa, or our hymns, and then we normally go on with our day with our language arts, or we're going to, if the kids kind of are begging to read more, I will jump in and read our literature read aloud or our history read aloud. I don't mind doing that. So let me show you. For Julie Ross's A Gentle Feast, we were doing America First. She doesn't read all of it, only ones that are kind of pertain. So she tells you what chapters you're going to read from that. I love this from Lawton Evans. You're probably going to need to censor some of the language because that was written a while ago and some cultural references. But then what else do I do? So I have added a couple things in. I add hero tales once a week. I do Tree in the Trail once a week. This is her geography. This she adds for Form 2. I have done it for Form 1, which is totally fine. That's no problem. Later, some of the history books are going to be this because she changes it up every day. So Buffalo Bill is going to be there. We're going to read about Harriet Tubman, Follow the Drinking Gourd, and then I have another Harriet Tubman that we're going to read. So you can add in as much as you want. So often we'll wait and we'll even use resources that we have from other homeschool curriculums and add them in, which is totally fine. As far as our literature, we're reading At the Back of the North Wind by George MacDonald, author of The Princess and the Goblin. And we're getting into this. We just started it. I'm not sure if the kids love it yet, but we'll keep reading that. Another read aloud that I picked up that's not necessarily in this curriculum is Over the Hills to Nugget, which is a Good and the Beautiful book. They have many, many great books that they're publishing now, which I love that they're doing that. Okay, so after we've done some of our readings, and again, I'm gonna add in, some of the other things that we're adding in. So I'm gonna show you what the language arts looks like for Form 1, which is 1st through 3rd grade. Also, just to add in, for 3rd graders, Julie does this awesome My American Geo Journey, which we don't do at all, but it's learning some of the abbreviations of the states, some of the geography. Then she has a little video for each region, which is really sweet. And just a great way to incorporate technology, because I finally have let my kids use a passworded iPad every now and then. This poetry atlas is just gorgeous. So he's going to be reading the Southwest poems. We'll read those together. I'll read these with all the kids just because there's some really beautiful poems, but I'll read those with him, and that's part of the 3rd grade geography. Then our 50 states talks about the states in kind of a fun way. This book is not, it's just kind of, it's a little chaotic to me, but the kids really love reading those facts. History Uncovered with the USA. So I've added these other two. These are both from Usborne, State Capitals and History Uncovered, but those are included. These two are included with her suggestions. So let's go into the language arts portion. So she has these. Again, she has 4 different language arts. And this is for Form 1. I won't be doing this with my daughter most likely for 2nd grade. She does not do it for 1st grade just because I just know my kiddo and she's just not ready. But for my son, this is just the perfect level for him. He's not advanced, but he's doing great. So she's just incorporated all of the Charlotte Mason tenets for language arts into weekly lessons. So copy work. Do a couple lines daily. Then from this copy work, she's picking the spelling words. My, she, her, like, sky, those may seem simple, but for my son, this is really needed practice. We also will have him maybe use some of those Montessori movable alphabet letters to make these words as well. Now, at the beginning, my son was not excited to do this composition. I did not make him, especially because this one was about a princess. There's a sweet picture of a princess. But I love that there's some drawing opportunities, there's some composition opportunities. The focus for this is not grammatical or spelling correctness. It's just to get yourself out there, and now he's actually starting to do it. He's doing 1 or 2 sentences. So I'll show you a little bit of that. And then after that, there's a short grammar focus. What is a sentence? Then filling in the spelling words in a French style dictation. So later on, of course, you're going to be having the child do a dictation by rote, but they're not quite ready yet. So all of these passages are from readings your child is going to do. Here I wrote down his composition, which is also another thing Charlotte Mason recommends. There's his steamboat, learning about compound words among the forest people here. So great handwriting, and he's drawing these cute little pictures. So he is not a drawer, but that was really fun for him to draw. So this is just wonderful. And it just goes on and on. 5, 6 words, sometimes up to 8 or 10 words. And it's just wonderful. I really loved how this is put together. A lot of the Charlotte Mason moms may want to make their own, but in all honesty, that can be really tiresome and burdensome, and this, Julie has done it really skillfully and really well. So I really recommend this so very, very highly. For my daughter, we're using a different curriculum for her. Well, we're combining 2 of what A Gentle Feast has. So we're combining her cursive lessons, just simple, gentle lessons for cursive. And here she goes by them by stroke letters, so you can see that here, a big bug. Beautiful pictures are added to here, just beautiful lessons. She had another cursive book that we just scrapped as soon as I got this one, and this one is just a much more gentle approach, and my daughter has really enjoyed it. So I really love that one. She has these cards that you're able to work on together as flashcards together on a mat, or if they want to create with their movable alphabet, ABC, tumble down D, the cat is in the cupboard and can't see me. That cat is in the cupboard. So really reading all the words, simple, short vowel lessons here. Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet. So you start with sound, you work with, start with sight, you work with sound, and you can do that with the movable alphabet. Then you do more reading, so added reading that could maybe have included the previous passages, which was the ABC Tumble Down D or Little Jack Horner Sat in a Corner. You're going to be reading this. So you'd be so surprised because those are the only words involved and they're familiar with them. They're going to find success in it and they're going to find enjoyment. So these passages, the flip side would be just reading phonetically. Here they're reading phonetically and by sight, which is much more enjoyable. And Charlotte Mason really talks extensively about that in volume 1 of her education volumes. Then you're going to do some sequencing, reading, and a little copy work. Of course, copy work does not need to happen if the child is not ready. My daughter is clearly ready. She loves to write. She's always writing. My son would not have been at this age. Then you work with movable letters, which are included. The letter tiles are included with a pack with this thick, kind of shiny cardstock that you can cut out. We just have the Montessori alphabet, so we use that instead. A review, another sight, sound. Okay, so now you're starting a new one. You're gonna cut out the new flashcards for Old Mother Hubbard, but this is so good, and I will be using this again for my daughter. Like I said, I've changed my style for a lot of the kiddos, and it's just been really, really helpful for them to have, find success, be set up for success with the Gentle Feast. Now I've shown you most of a Gentle Feast just so you can just get a glimpse of all that's involved with Julie's work. The teacher's manual and the morning plan manual you'll get alongside online resources that you have a membership password and you jump in there, and there's so much amazing information. So you have their book list that she has, complete book list, foreign language resources, YouTube playlists, which are so valuable for the kids to just have that engagement, change it up a little bit now and then. So many great ideas. So I can't recommend a Gentle Feast more highly. Like I said, I will be sharing some other things that I do add in personally. I think less is probably more. I just like history in particular so much that we add in some more things, but it's absolutely not needed. If you did everything here, it would be more than enough for a really rounded out education for your child. So hopefully that's helped you a little bit. I love talking about this, and just wanted to finally kind of share what we do in our day-to-day. I'll also be sharing by grade, some of the other things we do, math choices that we have as well. So thanks.